It's me again. It's Monday morning, and I just want to do a very, very quick recap. It's funny, I'm doing a fluffcast later on this week where I'm going to be kind of whining about, episode recap culture, which is basically the culture we live in right now, where every episode of television is um, recapped and reviewed and discussed online, like within minutes of actually being on TV. And yet here I am doing exactly that. This is a very quick, I promise, a very quick whine about last night's episode of The Walking Dead. So, spoiler alert, okay? If you have not seen the episode and you don't want to know what happened, turn this off. Um, there was speculation all week as to what might happen because last night's episode was the mid-season finale. So people were expecting there was going to be something big was going to come down, so that the audience can be sort of can spend the next few months complaining and speculating as to what's going to happen next. There was speculation all week as to what was going to happen. There was talk that maybe Beth, the character of Beth, who being basically stuck in this hospital in Atlanta, that she would get killed somehow, either being rescued or she would sacrifice herself, for the others. There was also speculation that perhaps Michonne or Carl, or even, God forbid, baby Judith, would get offed back at the church because the minister, whose name I forget, but the guy who was in The Wire, he sort of opened up the floorboards and crawled out and escaped, and like left them vulnerable. So that proved to be that incident last week proved to be actually a big piece of misdirection on the part of the producers, because I think people were expecting that basically they would go to the hospital, rescue Beth and Carol, and then return to the church to find it totally overrun and several people dead. That didn't happen. So, but what actually happened, I think, is better, because what happened basically is the church was overrun, but Michonne and Carl and baby Judith and Gabriel managed to actually get out and escape, and then also the fire brigade showed up, the fire engine lot showed up, and just like Trumpton, they showed up and or Chigley. Anyway, so the fire brigade showed up, and so now they all kind of piled back into the fire engine to go off to Atlanta to rescue Beth, because Maggie has now just found out that her sister's still alive. Okay, long story short, Beth got killed. Now, so people, I think, had sort of speculated that was going to happen for many reasons. The actor who plays Daryl Dixon apparently, made some comments about he was very emotional about the episode, which led people to believe, okay, well, either Carol's going to get killed or Beth's going to get killed or both are going to get killed. And of course, it would be a big, heavy storyline for the character of Daryl, because he had sort of found connections with both of them. And the other reason why people thought that she might get killed off, Beth might get killed off, is she's actually had a fair amount there's been a fair amount of storyline around her this season. She got a whole episode to herself. And on The Walking Dead, that is generally a sign that a character is about to get offed. And it kind of does make sense, because it makes storytelling sense in terms of TV series. It doesn't make sense in terms of zombie apocalyptic world where anyone can die any moment, but it makes storytelling sense in terms of how they make TV series that you want to sort of really kind of find yourself emotionally involved with a character before they get offed, so that the impact is greater. And I suspect that's why there was so much attention on her this season. If you think about some of the other characters, like the character of Glenn and characters of Glenn and Maggie, for instance, I mean, they've been in the episode, in the series, but they really haven't done much in the last few episodes. I suspect that's going to change when the season returns in spring, because I was just thinking about this. I really have too much time on my hands. The character of Maggie, who's Beth's sister, who basically, hasn't seen her sister for a very long time, and assumed that she was dead. she just found out, her sister's alive, and then, gets there too late, and now she's dead. Um, if you remember, Maggie and Glenn and Tara got into the fire engine with your man from Band of Brothers, and the kind of redneck scientist, who it turns out isn't a scientist at all and doesn't have a solution to offing the zombies. So she now has come back and will be reunited with the rest of the crew. Now she sort of was trying to take care of Eugene after he was knocked out by Sergeant Lambchops. After he was knocked out by him, she was actually trying to, taking care of him and making sure he wasn't, in the sun and whatnot. And he's still, presumably kind of like comatose. And they're waiting for him to wake up. But she only left the church. She and Glenn and Tara only left the sanctuary of the church in the first place because they thought, okay, let's get to Washington. There's a solution in Washington. And also she thought her sister was dead. And now it turns out the Washington thing is bullshit. Eugene was lying. And her sister was alive, but, it was too late. So I'm wondering if the character of Maggie is going to have a storyline next in the second half of the season, where she will be, to put it mildly, very resentful of Eugene and the kind of nonsense that he put her through. She'll be carrying all kinds of guilt about having left the church. But one of the great things about the show, about the episode that I liked, and I'm actually doing a thing later on this week where I'm going to be talking about the year in television. I was talking about The Walking Dead on it. Is that the show really works best when the characters are on the move and don't have shelter and are in constant danger, which was, if you think back to, it seems like a decade ago, but it wasn't. When the show first started, that's pretty much the way it was. So the first few episodes, the first season, they were kind of on the run and on the move. And it works best like that. So now that the church got overrun, the sanctuary's gone, I guess the entire cast is going to be back on the fire engine, and then on some big convoy again, and who knows where they'll be heading next. Maybe towards Washington after all, or they'll continue driving around the suburbs of Atlanta. But so the show, I think, which has been very good this season, it will hopefully, continue that level of storytelling and have the characters on the move and on the run and in constant danger. Because when they're in one place like the church, although it wasn't quite that safe, it was safe enough. Or the prison. It tended to slow everything down, and then it's sort of like you had bizarre kind of soap opera-ish storylines. So I'm glad that it got back to, or it's going to get back to them being on the move again. One more quick thing. I promise this will be fast. One more quick thing. So where was Carl at the very end? I didn't see him, so I'm assuming that he and baby Judith were inside the fire truck. I'm assuming that was the case. And I'm sure somebody, noticed that the minister, when he went to the school, picked up a Bible, and probably everyone's now running to their Bible, because everyone's got a family Bible somewhere, running to their Bibles to see what exactly the passage was. And it was from the second book of Chronicles, and it was concerning the wisdom of Solomon. It's actually when the Queen of Sheba basically recognizes Solomon's wisdom. So I'm sure Walking Dead / Bible scholars, Walking Dead fans / Bible scholars will be filling the internet this week with all kinds of long and interesting essays where they talk about the Bible impact of the story. Anyway, that's the Walking Dead mid-season finale. I'm kind of glad it's over for a while. I'm kind of I've enjoyed The Walking Dead, but I need to take a break from it. So it's probably a good time for it to come. So that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Fluff out.